Hey there. The Subarctic beekeeper, one of the many. Putting a wool blanket on top of one of my hives. This is a standard issue, I guess it's a standard issue. Army blanket, wool. Provides great insulation and protection for my bees during this in-between season. Repels moisture, keeps the warmth in, and it actually, when it does get wet, reflects that moisture back as heat. Just putting this back together. I'm going to go into this colony right here. I've got 2 deeps because I wanted to produce some surplus frames of reserves, or stores is what we call them. Just in case any of my colonies don't produce enough themselves. I've got my tote here so I don't lose any bees. I'm checking the feeder. I'm going to take a picture of it on my phone so I can enter it into my bee app. It's not quite 8 o'clock. I've got sugar syrup on my phone. Don't drop your phone in the sugar syrup. I've done it. I need to make some space on this table here to set my box. My deep box here. I'm going to put my smoker over here. Make sure it doesn't burn anything. This time of year, people who don't know how to keep bees in the Subarctic and don't necessarily care to learn will kill their bees. It's true. It's the ugly truth. Interestingly, this non-traditional tradition comes from a lie. It comes from a lie told by one beekeeper to many, many students. The main beekeeper of this area, years ago, who taught thousands of students how to keep bees. I was one of his students. He told us it was impossible. Don't bother. So during this time of year, some people who are afraid for their karma, I would be, will put their bees up for adoption. And what that means is those of us who overwinter our bees can pick up another hive, another colony. Problem is, or a problem that can happen, is that the people who kill their bees don't necessarily take care of the health of their bees throughout our very short season, which is about 3.5 months long. That's it, but for the entire year, literally. And so they don't treat for varroa mites. They don't look for nosema. They might not even know what nosema is. And so when we get the bees, they can be full of mites. And if we've taken care of our colonies and treated for mites, which is mandatory, it's not a law, but if you're going to have bees, you've got to treat for mites, because they are now a permanent, I hate to say it, from what I've read, we should be thinking about our hives as not just having a queen worker and drones, but also a queen worker, drones, and mites. So these mites carry a lot of diseases that are very, very infectious. And the people that kill their bees, they don't have to worry about it. But what happens is their bees will fly over to my apiary and infect my bees. Back to adopting. They put their colonies up for adoption, and one of us adopts those bees. We now become responsible for the health of that colony that might be in very poor health. I have adopted every year, and every year I swore I wouldn't do it again because they infected my bees. At least some of the bees. Well, I got a call from a family that has never learned to overwinter their bees. They keep bees every year, many years now. They do it for their kids, I think. Fun science stuff, you know. They've never learned about mites. They've never taken a class. You know, they look stuff up online, that's fine. There's some good stuff on there. And there's also some irrelevant stuff. But you gotta know enough to be able to pick and choose and make an intelligent decision, right? Right. Where is my feeder? There it is. This is the little divider that gets into the top feeder and keeps the bees from drowning. Although what's been happening is my bees want the syrup so badly that they're drowning anyways. I'm going to put my lid on the feeder. Make sure it's secure on this table because I'm going to move this box over there. I don't remember if I have a queen excluder on here or not. I want to check the weights on these boxes. I'm jumping all over the place, huh? Adopting hives. I got a call. They want to know if I want to adopt their colony. What did I say? Can you guess? I very hesitantly said okay. But my plan is they're going to plug up their hive tonight. They have one. Carniolians, a bee I really enjoy working with. They're going to plug their colony up tonight, and tomorrow morning early I'm going to go over there lugging a car battery and my oxalic acid vaporizing wand, as well as a nuke hive, which is a small hive, and I'm going to essentially raid their hive. I'm going to treat their bees for mites in their wooden hives, because I don't want to bring them here full of mites. And then I'm going to take the brood frames. Weird, huh? Because oxalic acid vapors can't permeate the wax cappings on the brood frames. So it'll treat the bees that come along with me, but it won't treat where the mites are most likely located, which is in the cells. So I'll treat the bees that I can get access to, count the brood frames, and then watch my calendar to make sure that I treat that colony. So it'll be nurse bees, a few workers, and a new queen. I'll treat them every time some of that brood hatches, which could be every day. I'm not going to treat them every day. I am going to keep that colony isolated from my hives. I don't want them anywhere near mine. My colonies are clean. No mites. Well, there's a few. There's a few. But I've been treating them, keeping them healthy, feeding them during bad weather, making sure they have what they need, taking care of them, observing them, etc. I don't want to lose my colonies because I decided to take in someone else's bees that they didn't take the time to overwinter. I dread the thought. But this year I don't have as many hives as I typically do because I needed to slow down because of this brain injury I suffered in a car accident from someone who was not paying attention while they're driving. Pay attention when you're driving. So I need to slow down. So I had less colonies. Building back the farm after all that's been lost. And not having many colonies makes me a little bit nervous. I don't know if it's rational or not rational. Is it based in reality or not based in reality? When I've got more colonies, I feel like I've got more of an opportunity. If I lose a couple colonies, I'm okay for the spring. But as one wise beekeeper told me yesterday, you take your losses in the fall and you split colonies in the spring. So essentially, if you've got to lose some colonies in the fall because you've got to combine them or whatever, don't worry, they'll build back up for the spring. I don't see any sign of fecal matter. I see a lot of stores. It's heavy. check the mite board. With my eyes, I don't see any mites, which is great. They'll still get treated again. These bees are acting happy, they're acting content. And so this second box, I didn't really check the weight. I need to put the queen excluder back on, get these bees back in. I did add some fondant. Ideally, all the bees would be in. They're not. We're the only people, beekeepers are the only people that farm an animal that cannot be domesticated. Is that right? Sounds right to me. They're not going to do what I say. I have to know them, know their behavior, know their needs, etc., and work with them on their own terms. I'm going to check the weight just by lifting. It's heavy, but it's not real heavy. I want it to be real heavy. So putting the food on makes this a little awkward of a fit here. A couple of victims right there. There is some Hive Alive still on here from the last time I was in the hive, and some pollen patty up on this frame, up on this box. I'm just going to add a little liquid to it to soften it up for them and make sure they're getting what they need. Anyway, the risk of adopting a colony, it's real. The risk is real. Hopefully, what the weather says is that we're going to have this weather for the next couple weeks, which would give me time to clean up those bees. Maybe. Maybe. Might not. So I really do have to keep them isolated from my hives, which means putting them on our property far enough away that they don't find their way to my bees, but close enough away that I can tend to them. Putting the feeder back on, and it's clean. Feeling for the angles to make sure everything is flush. We don't want any little squeaky openings. Got some bees over here on the table. I'm going to add some syrup and close this hive up, strap it real tight, and be done with it. And then go make more syrup for tomorrow with a little more water. I do like these feeders. I hope that you're having a good summer and that your bees are doing well and appreciating you. Got one that fell in. I'm going to catch her and let her go in front of the hive. And close this up. The bees that are on the table will make their way in before nightfall. We've got a couple more hours of daylight, even though it's almost 8 o'clock. Probably have another hour and a half of daylight. This is my hive strap. I learned last year to strap them down after many years of beekeeping and not strapping them down. Had a hell of a mess. And ironically, this spring, while I was moving a colony back to my home apiary from a farm, I was moving it not so logistically, not so soundly in my wagon, and because I'm short, had the hive in the wagon, I stepped into the wagon to lift the hive up onto the table, not thinking about balance, and fell backwards with the hive on top of me. Oh! The hive was strapped tight. It did not open up. I got no stings. The bees stayed inside. Everything was good. Thank goodness. So, learn from my mistakes. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your bees. Ukraine is winning. And I'll see you next time. Bye. This video is copyrighted and all rights reserved.